Hello, crochet crafters. Spring has sprung, and I'm busy making these beautiful crochet cards. They're very generic. They don't have any writing, so you can add whatever you want. I do sell them at Lori's Handiwork on Etsy, but I'm going to show you today on YouTube how you can make a version of this crochet tulip, and you can use whatever color you want. But let me go ahead and get started. I'm using a 3.5 by 5.5 card. I purchased these on Etsy. Etsy is a great place to buy, blank cards and embellishments. I'm using a size 4 crochet hook, and I'm using some short craft scissors and craft glue for fabric. And the two colors that I have chosen for today is 100% cotton green for the stem and 100% cotton pink for the tulip. So let's get started. Now, if you don't have exactly the same crochet hook or exactly the same yarn, that's okay. And go ahead and get your yarn onto your crochet hook. Now this first, it's a version of the puff stitch, so it's a little bit difficult the first round, but you'll get it. So go ahead and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're just starting to crochet, this probably isn't the first project you want to try. But you have 4 chains, and working into that chain next to the one that your crochet hook is in, you're going to wrap it around and you're going to pull it through that first chain. You'll have 3 on your hook. You want to wrap it around, pull it through the same stitch, and you have 5 on your hook. You wrap it around and you pull it through the same stitch, and now you should have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you don't have 7, go back and try it again. Now this is where it's a little bit of a bugaboo if you're not used to working with crochet yarn, and you can try this a couple of different times, but you're going to wrap it around, and the one that's around your hook is the one you're going to pull through all 7. And what I typically do is hold those, kind of pull them with my finger so that I'm giving myself some slack there so I can pull it through easily. So that's your first stitch. You're going to go ahead and chain 1. Now you have 2 more chains left. You're going to do that same stitch in the 2 more chains. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it around, put it through the next one, pull it through. You've got 3. 1, 2, 3. You're going to wrap it around, pull it through again, and you've got 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to wrap it around and pull it through again, and you've got 7. And again, when you pull that, you're going to wrap it around, and now you're going to hold this to give it a little tension. And that one's a little bit harder because I didn't pull the front loop there. There we go. So I've got stitch number 2, and then I'm going to chain 1. Now for this last stitch right there, which is right there, I'm going to go in. This is a little bugaboo to get these first 3 on, but once you get them on, it's the same thing again, wrapping it around. I've got 5. Wrapping it around again, whoops, until I have 7. So you want to count. You can always count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So once you have 7 on there, you're going to wrap it around, and again, you're going to pull it all the way through. And then you're going to chain 1 and turn. So in between each one of these little bulky stitches is a space where you did the chain 1. That's where your next stitches are going to go. But to build your flower up, you're going to put 2 of those what's called puff stitches in each one of those chains between the ones you just did. So we're not going to do anything on this side. We just changed that chain 1, and that's all we're going to do. And we're going to wrap it around, and we're going to bring it through both of those puff stitches that you just did. You're going to wrap it around, and we're doing it until we get to the 7, 3 times until we get to 7, pulling it through and chaining 1. Oops, little too loose, chaining 1. Now, in that same stitch to build your flower, expand it, we're going to do the same thing, and it should be easier now because you have more room to work with in between your stitches. Okay, so you've got 2. You can kind of see how that's building. Chain 1, and you should have 1 more of those stitches right there, and you're going to go through it. Seven again, wrapping it, chaining 1, and then you're going to do it again. Be careful not to, I just got it hooked around the front of this one. Be careful, you don't want to do that. I'm going to start again because I don't like the way those stitches came out. And you know what, that's going to happen. If you don't like something, the good news is in crocheting, you can just stop what you're doing. There's no, clock or just to make sure that came out nice and tight. And then that looks good. So in between those 2 stitches that you did, you added another 2. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn it again. And now you've got 3 to add to. So you're going to go back through that same place, making sure you have 7 and then wrapping it around, chaining 1. And I'm going to show you how to do this on a card. So fun. Now you've got 2 in that 1 stitch. So you're putting 2 into the chain between the puff stitches. I'm working rather fast now, but you can always pause me and come back to me because I'm just about to finish up here to show you how this will go on your card. It's going to look lovely. Alrighty. So when you get to the end, it's going to look something like this. Now my other one was a little bit tighter because the yarn I used was a 4 worsted. This is only 2 strands put together, so it's a 2 ply. So it's going to depend on how much yarn you're using. That makes it really super puffy. So what you can do is, you don't want to use any glue yet. You want to go ahead and set up the placement of your stitches. Now in crocheting, it's a no-no to have the back look any different than the front, and it's a no-no to have cutting the stitches. But in the craft world of making cards, there's no, because what you do, and I'm not going to do it on camera because it's sticky and I'm taping right now, is you can just simply cut this, and if you take a little craft glue and just stick it there, you're done. You don't have to work your tails back in like you do in regular crocheting. It's a little bit different animal that you're working with than the other type of crocheting. And then that right there, again, just a little craft glue. And then you're going to go ahead and set that up wherever you want. Now you could literally make a couple of them. You know, you can make one, however you want that to look. But that's basically it for that. Now for your stem, this is a little fun. You can just do a chain, or you can do a single crochet. Now I'm going to do 8 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, if you want to use it like that, you just stick a little craft glue at the end there and a little craft glue at the end there, and you just put it on. But I think I'm going to do 10 because I was just laying this out, and I see where I want to have 10 because that makes a nice long stem for a tulip. And tulips have long stems, as you know. So I think this is a little flimsy looking, so I'm just going to go back in and just beef up my stem just a little bit so it doesn't look like it's going to topple over. I know that tulips have very delicate stems, but let's see how this looks. And if it looks too thick, then we'll go from there. So I'm just doing a single crochet in the chain that I just created. Whatever, you can chain as many as you want for your stem. Again, the key is laying it out on the paper. And I'm just going to wrap this around and do it that way. So the other, like I said, the other no-no in crocheting is tying. But in craft carding, it's okay to tie. Woohoo! Because you're going to hide it under your work, and you're going to use glue, craft glue. And so when you cut this off like this, you're not even going to see where you tied it at all. But if you did that in clothing or animals, someone would give you a real heads down. So you're going to go ahead and of course, wouldn't you know it, where I cut that, it's kind of already puffing up. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick a little craft glue on that end there. Maybe I have a little bit open already. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this under here just for placement. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a leaf. Now, tulips have long leaves, so I'm going to go ahead and do 8 chains, and then I'm going to show you how to graduate a leaf, because a leaf just has to have graduated stitches. So go ahead and chain 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is good. And in your first stitch from the hook, you're going to do a single. And we're going to graduate it up. So next one, we're going to do a half double. And if you don't know these stitches, please go back and look at how to do a half double. And then the next one, we're going to do a double. See how it's kind of building the leaf up. So it's kind of building that up. And then you want to do a triple. And now we're going to graduate the leaf back down. So we're going to do a double. And then we're going to do a half double. And then we're going to do a single. And I'm wrapping the tail back in. And I'm just going to do one like this. I'm just going to chain 1 and pull it through, and then I'll probably end up tying it again. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips for gluing, and then you'll have your card. So I'm going to do one like that, and I'm going to just repeat that for the other side. Now, before I glue, I'm going to give you a couple of tips, and then I'll say goodbye, and you can craft on your own. Make sure when you use the craft glue that you don't get it all over the card, because it will show up and it will spot on your card. So you can either put it in the place where you're going to lay the cotton yarn and then just lay the yarn down flat, hold it for a minute, and it should hold. And it takes, I would give it a couple hours to dry. And the other thing is, if you don't use 100% cotton and you use acrylic, acrylic tends to hold moisture. So if you live in a warm climate, that may be problematic for making your cards. And also, if you want to use calligraphy or you want to write words, I would suggest you do that before you glue your elements on, because if you write your language and you don't like the way it looks and you've already got this glued, there's no way to pull it up and glue it onto another card. So I would do your calligraphy or your happy birthday or whatever words you want to put on there first, and then do your happy gluing. So I appreciate you joining me today, and I'm going to be making some roses next week. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, it's Lori's Handiwork on YouTube, and on Etsy, it's Lori's Handiwork. Thank you so much, and have a great day.